What's up, guys? We are kicking this video off with 15 most creative street art that's on another level. So get ready, get set, get comfortable, because you don't want to miss this video, especially if you are an art freak just like me. This is a video for you. And before we hop into the video, don't forget to give me a comment, like, and subscribe to the channel. Why? So I know it's real.
From the world's tiniest sculpture to DIY knitting, here's the 15 most creative street art that is at another level. Odeith's wrecked bus. First up, transforms regular road cement blockwork into one of the most mind-blowing illusions we've ever seen, turning what would be an otherwise dull and blank canvas into an apocalyptic laden ruin. Born back in 1976 in a small Portuguese city, Sergio began experimenting with graffiti and spray cans in the mid-1990s, when the underground graffiti movement in Portugal began expanding from city to city. After dropping out of school at age 15, Odeith realized he had a passion for transforming the urban landscape into something more complex and beautiful, and it was his direction in which his life was headed. And while working for almost 2 decades in the international street art scene, it wasn't until the mid-2000s that he began to receive critical acclaim from a global audience. Most of Odeith's work is created using the anamorphosis technique, which requires his compositions to be painted on 90-degree corners, giving off the mind-bending impression of these astonishing optical illusions. He's pioneered his technique, calling it somber 3D, and this wrecked bus is perhaps the crowning glory of his distinctive style. Awesome.
Wow. Can we just take a moment of silence for a second to say how dope that bus was? He went from just a brick, a random blank brick, shelf. What is that anyway? What was that? But anyway, he turned it into a freaking bus. Like, that was dope. Like, I don't think I've ever seen anybody do anything like that. That was awesome. Like, that blew me literally away. Like, what? And was that 2 different buses, or did it look longer to you guys? Because it looked longer than when it started off originally. And he had the shading and everything. It looked really realistic, but like in a really cool, funky way. That was dope. I loved it. I don't know. What do you guys think about it? Did you find that really, really cool? Have you seen anything like that, by the way?
Hey, did you know that if you smash the like button, subscribe, and click the notification bell, you're more likely to win the lottery? So what are you waiting for? Gangi. Next up, sure, you've most definitely heard of Banksy, the world-famous super-secret anonymous street artist, but have you ever heard of his robot counterpart, Gangi? Yeah, we didn't think so. Just like every anonymous superhero artist, it seems that Banksy's alter ego has required a 21st century facelift, but there's no need to worry, because Gangi definitely isn't planning on taking over the world yet. Back in 2020, the new artificial intelligence software was launched after being trained via machine learning on how to instantly recognize the patterns and styles of Banksy's street art. And the result was a bizarre, yet certainly unique mishmash of the amazing urban graffiti developed by artist Matt Round and his web-based art project Vol.wtf. Gangi has produced over 256 original pieces of Banksy-esque art that have been derived from its understanding of shape, form, and texture, and it's been sold via their website starting at just $1.30 per piece. The plan is that the price of each work of art will rise by $1 after each purchase, and the team's ultimate goal is to be able to put the Gangi software inside its own robot body so that it can, in their words, spray paint the entire planet.
Oh my God, guys, the whole time that was played, I was literally sitting here laughing. I couldn't help but to think, okay, so you see the little guy that's hanging from the rope, the little jailbird? That painting, that mural was really awesome to look at, but I could not help but to think, who's waiting at the end of that rope? Astrovino. If you know, you know. And if you don't know, it's probably for the better. I mean, save your brain cells. Don't waste your time trying to figure out who that chick is. But for those who know, you know, you'll see why that's funny to me. Like, I couldn't even focus on the art at hand and listen to what he was saying. I just kept thinking, she's at the end of that rope with the little jailbird coming down it. And she's like, come on, honey, you can do it. Come on, I'm waiting. Hurry up. Like, she's at the end of that rope for that little jailbird. But that was a really cool mural to actually see. Dope. 10 out of 10.
Anonym Mouse. Alright, from one level of anonymity to the level, and while you've probably already heard of Anonymous, the fabled internet collective of shadowy hackers who aim to overthrow corrupt governments, have you ever heard of Anonym Mouse? Well, let's turn our gaze down toward this extraordinary example of installation-based street art. And while they won't be toppling any governments anytime soon, these amazing pieces are sure to win over a few hearts. Tiny buildings that have popped up in urban cities, tailor-made for tiny mice. What's not to love? Inspired by the age-old fairy tale stories of Walt Disney, Don Bluth, Beatrix Potter, and Astrid Lindgren, these amazing pieces were created by Swedish art collective Anonym Mouse, who've painstakingly handcrafted their miniature worlds fit for mice. The artists first began their career by building tiny restaurants and shops for tiny mice back in 2016, before they quickly began popping up anonymously in the coastal city of Malmö in southern Sweden. Although at first the project was seen as a tongue-in-cheek joke, Anonym Mouse have since created 25 handmade establishments that can be found on the streets of Sweden, France, and the United Kingdom, making them an international success by repurposing everyday objects and throwaway materials such as matchboxes and champagne corks. The Anonym Mouse team aimed to create sustainable and socially conscious works for art so that they could permanently be held as an example. While they may be pretty tiny, there's no denying this street art packs a mighty punch.
If I was a mouse, even just for a day, I would find one of these little houses and move in right away. Can you imagine how dope is that to have to come across a little tiny house like that made for little mice? Like, they're living large, okay? Especially if you come across something like that. You're living large. You're living the life. You have made it as a mouse. You have made it. Like, you have come across the creme de la creme, okay? Can you just imagine the little mouse wife and the little mouse husband and the little mousettes running around, and then they come across this nice ass little crib that this artist basically made for them, and then did you see the little stores? They look like a little boutique. I could just see the little mouse, the little wife. She's got this little purse on, shaped like a little cheese. You guys see where my mind goes? I'm sorry, but I just could see that. How dope would that be? You don't have to pay rent, and you live in a freaking palace. Okay, the house looks nice. How cool is that?
Pothole Mosaic. Everyone hates potholes, right? Well, if you've ever been annoyed at the lack of care that many governments give to the quality of our roads, then maybe you should take a leaf out of this guy's book. For years, artist Jim Batcher was furious at the pothole-ridden state of the asphalt in this Chicago neighborhood, but instead of sitting and complaining about them on Facebook, he decided to do something about it. After beginning his Pothole Mosaic project back in 2013, Chicago-based artist Jim Batcher has been busy filling in the street cavities with colorful mosaic masterpieces that depict pretty much everything from ice cream cones to the world-famous Chicago hot dog. Incredibly, his work has become so significant in many Chicago neighborhoods that they've been considered culturally important to the city, which may seem pretty counterintuitive to his initial motivation for the Pothole Mosaics. As a former ad agency creative director, he stated his passion for mosaic was inspired by trips to Pompeii, where amazing and vivid examples of the art form have survived for thousands of years. Who knows, maybe his incredible pothole mosaics will be standing for 1,000 more.
I need that dude. We need that dude in my city. We need that dude, okay? Can I call you up? How can I reach you? I'm gonna have to find you. We need this guy because the potholes are ridiculous, okay? Give me 10 of them, okay? Give me 10.
Largest mural in the world? Alright, sure, our previous two entries may have taken things to a smaller scale, but this next entry is definitely looking at the bigger picture. In the world of street art, large-scale murals are hotly becoming one of the biggest challenges that an artist can undertake, often requiring entire teams and collaborations in order to pull them off. Well, that definitely hasn't been an issue for this incredible artistic enterprise, who's racked up multiple world records by creating the largest street art exhibitions ever seen. Meet Ella and Peter, a French street art duo who first made a name for themselves back in 2015 with the previously held world record for the largest painting, a 226,000 square foot mural in Norway named Lilith and Olaf, a beautiful grayscale piece of monochromatic girl and an ancient Norwegian king. Well, it seemed that one record wasn't enough, and their latest piece, titled in French as What Will the Weather Be Tomorrow, has officially become the largest street art mural ever created. This colossal mural, which depicts an old lady sleeping as a plastic bag flies overhead, measures in at an astonishing 269,000 square feet, covering the roof of a huge industrial building that's nestled next to a busy highway overpass. The incredible work of art, which was painted entirely by hand with acrylic spray cans, took the duo over 8 days to complete, and it now proudly takes the crown as one of Europe's most exciting works of street art.
painted by hand and spray paint. Did you guys see how big that was? How did they do that? Like, how did they, I'm trying to wrap my head around that. How did they know what they were going to draw? Like, obviously you're not going to be able to tell the painting that well of what it is unless you're overhead. It's for like being seen from above, right? But how would you know what you're doing exactly? And if you have the right, I guess whatever. I don't even know. My mind is so boggled. But that was amazing. Like, how? By hand too at that? That is fascinating and talented as hell. To do something on that large of a scale. Like, I feel like I would mess something like that up. Like, I would get so confused. I would lose the thought of the picture. Like, I would put something in the wrong spot and you probably have to look from above like, oh, you messed that up. Like, how did they do that? And they did that in 8 days? I feel like that's really, really, really fast. Like, wow. Amazing. Let's keep going.
Singapore's most famous street artist. Singapore is a truly beautiful city, and as one of the 4 tigers of Asia, it's made a name for itself on the international stage with its world-renowned art style as an incredibly unique blend of Malay, Chinese, Tamil, and Western influences. Well, there's one guy who's taking that style to the next level with the intention of putting Singapore street art on the map. While Singapore is known for being incredibly clean, green, and socially orderly, that hasn't stopped Zul Altman, aka Zero, from painting the town red. Described as a visual artist with a graffiti-esque aesthetic, Zero is the founder of RSCLS, an artist collective that seeks to evolve and develop urban art in Singapore. In one of his most creative and boundary-pushing exhibitions titled Diff Fusion, Zero created a citywide mural of geometric shapes across the city, perfectly framed in shop windows of restaurants and busy market retailers. The paint that he used was lined with traditional Indian and Southeast Asian spices such as chili powder, cumin, and ginger, and the scents and fragrances permeated their way across the popular street food scene of Singapore. Amazing. Bordalo garbage artist. Calling someone a garbage artist would usually be a pretty harsh criticism, but for this guy, it's a compliment. Known as Bordalo II, this eccentric eco-artist aims to reinvent how we see art by repurposing trash, garbage, and scrap materials and putting them on display in urban environments. Inspired by green movements and ecological conversation for the health of planet Earth, Bordalo aims to combat the excessive production and consumption of waste products which inadvertently result in the production of garbage and contributes further to the destruction of the planet. Instead of throwing all of the garbage to waste, instead, it assumes itself in the unusual and unique raw materials for Bordalo's work, arranged in the construction of small and large-scale pieces that have since spread their way across the planet. Although his artistic journey began on the streets of Portugal, Bordalo's garbage manifesto has been featured in countless cities, and his environmentally conscious street art has certainly turned quite a few heads. Whether you love it or hate it, there's no denying the fact that this garbage artist has made an impact. Stick. While it seems that it's pretty difficult to forge your own unique style as a street artist, this next entry decided to take the most accessible image and turn it into a whole new way of thinking for urban art. Meet Stick, an anonymous British street artist known for his iconic depictions of unassuming stick figures in an urban setting. While you may think, hold on, anyone can draw a stick figure, this guy takes the most simple scrawling to a whole new level. Often painted high on water towers, brick walls, and alleyways across the globe, Stick's intention is to convey feelings of insecurity in an urban environment, and his style draws from his own experiences of homelessness as a young man. Born sometime in the 1980s, Stick's career has run almost parallel to the legendary Banksy, and just like the anonymous street artist himself, he's revealed almost nothing about his personal life. Sometime in the early 2010s, Stick's work first started out in Hackney Wick of London, before spreading to Shoreditch and then west towards the rest of London. Now you can find his stylized stick figures painted in bright block backdrops pretty much all across the city, and Stick has become one of the most protected and well-loved figures in the street art scene.
You see what you can do with stick figures? Those look amazing. Like, I love the way that they look. I would so buy his paintings and put them in my crib. Seriously, that looks dope. Like, even the people that feel like they can't draw, you gotta make that, even if you're drawing stick figures, you gotta make that the best damn stick figure somebody has ever seen. Do it in a new creative way. And I love how he do that. It even can become a symbol of like protection almost, like a symbol or something. How dope is that? Stick is amazing. And I like that. I like that idea. Like, you could do so many things with that. Amazing.
The Forest Stadium. Alright, while most of our entries so far have been pretty out there, this next one is really out there. You see, while street art intends to subvert our expectations of modern living, for Klaus Littman, the best way to do that was to turn the epicenter of modern architecture into a living, breathing forest. And yeah, he meant that quite literally. Back in 2019, the Swiss artist Klaus Littman transformed a soccer stadium into a monumental art installation by planting nearly 300 trees on the grass turf. Officially known as For Forest, the unending attraction of nature, it's pretty difficult to ignore the message behind this statement installation. And by bringing his vision to life, Littman stated that his intention was to confront ideas of deforestation, climate change, and the role that nature plays in our lives. Yeah, that's certainly one way to do it. Incredibly, Littman's masterpiece was met with global acclaim, and it was also officially declared the largest public art installation ever on view in Australia. Held at the iconic Daltonsea Stadium in Klagenfurt, the arena usually seats up to 30,000 people during a soccer game, but instead was on display to art lovers for several months while the exhibition was on show. Adorned with silver birch, alder, aspen, white willow, maple, and many other varieties of tree, the Forest Stadium certainly made an impact. Surprise pixel art. If you haven't guessed by now, nearly all of the street art pieces featured on this list have the intention of challenging the status quo, and this next entry is certainly no exception. Despite being a beautiful and incredibly liberal place, Sweden is also a country often associated with uniformity that often favors a sleek and cold style, celebrated for its simplicity and efficiency. However, despite the muted tones and the earthen colors of the stereotypical Scandinavian style, artist Johan Karlgren has made his mission to add some cartoonish color to the streets of Stockholm. The Swedish artist, known for his 8-bit style pixel art creations, began installing his miniature pieces back in the early 2010s, where he recreated popular cultural figures from perler beads and placed them in the most unsuspecting of places. Most of his stunning pixel art creations are inspired by pop culture figures from cartoons, video games, and old movies, and he's since become a welcome addition to the streets of Stockholm and the rest of the country. Just a little flash of color can brighten the coldest of hearts. Lego street art. Alright, from pixel art to the original brightly colored block, while Lego is certainly the first material that many budding creative kids and potential artists will use to build up their imaginations, it seems that this next block builder has taken Lego art to a whole new level. For the past decade or so, German artist Jan Vormann has been traveling the world, filling in gaps in crumbling buildings, bridges, and street corners.
Now, for my game players out there, how cool is that? From digital art to Lego blocks art, I guess that's what it's called. Absolutely fantastic, amazing, and all the words in between. Like, I really love that. That is so creative and fun, and just when you look at it, it just makes you feel happy. Or the characters, you're like, oh, I remember that. How dope is that? I love it.
Yarn bombing. Sure, graffiti may have developed a reputation for being sharp, spiky, and filled with attitude, but that doesn't mean that it can't be warm and fuzzy too. Back in the early 2010s, it seemed that a new cultural phenomena known as yarn bombing took the street of art mantle of urban protest and decided to keep running with it. From Seattle to Stockholm, dozens of yarn-based activists began committing acts of artistic vandalism by dressing statues and other historical memorials in brightly colored, hand-knitted sweaters and scarves. While graffiti in the world of street art has traditionally been seen as male-dominated, thousands of female yarn bombing artists gave the scene a much-needed facelift, and while yarn bombing may have fallen out of fashion in recent years, it seems that the message behind this cultural movement has remained firmly intact. Glasgow City Mural Trail. While Scotland is known for its brightly colored tartan knitwear, it's also known for its long-standing reputation in the art world, producing some of the most legendary poets, painters, and philosophers in human history. However, although it's closely guarded as a secret, it's also known for another incredible artistic monument, the Glasgow City Mural Trail, a series of urban art installations that are considered as some of the world's most impressive large-scale street murals. While the trail is often experienced during the cold and frosty Scottish climate, the artistic pieces are most definitely worth it. Commissioned by the local city council back in 2008, the mural trail originally began as part of a regeneration project in some of the more deprived neighborhoods, and the pieces certainly pay homage to the city's working-class roots. Featuring art from the likes of Smug, Rogue One, Eject, and Klingatron, the mural trail is considered to be the pinnacle of European street art. Title murals. If you hadn't figured by now, graffiti and urban exploration often go hand in hand. And one of the defining characteristics of the early days of graffiti was in trying to access the most inaccessible of places. The challenge was in trying to leave behind a tag or a mural that signified that you, the artist, was there. It was awesome and thrilling, and part of the reason why graffiti became so impactful during the late 80s and the 90s. Meet Hawaiian artist Sean Yoro, who has taken that mantra to a whole new level. Well, a subaquatic one, in fact. Sean Euro is an incredible talent who has taken his painting studio along for a ride on the waves of the Hawaiian shoreline, exploring across the waterways and rivers of the beautiful Hawaiian Islands. Although the artist has been pretty secret about the exact location of his murals, he insists that all of them were installed in places that appeared to be abandoned and lifeless. His goal was to breathe life into these inaccessible areas through murals and art, installing them in the most unexpected of places in the hope that it would attract newfound attention from the locals. Amazing.
I'm literally blown out of the water right now. I mean, can we say not only skill, but definitely very, very talented. I mean, that has to be really challenging, okay? That had to take him years to perfect because, guys, think about it. He's on water, he's moving, he's constantly in motion, okay? The tides are constantly changing. They're going up, they're going down. He's in different spots every time. But with all that being said, I don't know if you guys noticed, but check out his mural. I mean, to be on water, his lines were so straight. How does he do that with constantly being in motion on the water like that? His lines were perfect. Check that out again. Wind this back. Oops, sorry guys. Wind this back and look at the mural, his painting. The lines are perfect, straight. Everything looks beautiful. And he's on water. Absolutely, absolutely beautiful. I mean, talented is beyond. I need different words to even say for that guy. Amazing, amazing.
In dead drops. And finally, what better way to complete this weird and wonderful list with one of the most obscure street art projects that New York City and the wider world has ever seen? If you've ever been walking along the street and then suddenly noticed a USB stick cemented into a wall, then you've probably had a few questions. First up, what the heck? Second, who's trying to hack me in the middle of the street? Well, but who knows? Maybe there's a frozen USB somewhere hidden in that ice. Now that's a crazy thought. Well, there we have it. What'd you guys think? If you've seen one of these flash drives cemented into the wall, then you may have stumbled across a dead drop, a global art project that uses age-old spy techniques in order to prove a point about the unstoppable onslaught of information. Although the technique has long been considered a staple of underground hacking and activism, the dead drop USB hit the big time in 2010, when an artist from Berlin named Aram Barthold decided to adapt the idea for public use. His global dead drop project first began in New York City and involved people hiding USB flash drives in sidewalks and embedding them into walls with the intention of sharing the method to a wider audience. Since then, the results have been pretty questionable at best, but the global spread of these dead drops has definitely kicked off. Currently, there are thought to be around 2,000 dead drops around the world, with nearly 10 terabytes of combined storage. In fact, there are dead drops on every continent on the planet except Antarctica.
A dead drop? Guys, have you heard of anything of the such? I have never heard of a dead drop in any location. I have never seen anything like that. But even if I have, I don't know, I would be pretty nervous to even try that out. Like, what is your thought? Would you try one of those out? Or would you be iffy like me? I'm always sketchy of stuff. So I would definitely feel like somebody's trying to hack me, get my information, something. Like, it's kind of sus. But I get the concept of that. But yeah, I don't know how popular that is. I've never seen one of those. But you guys, let me know down below, have you ever seen a dead drop? Like, I would really truly love to know. And are they any in your city, in your state, town, whatever? Do you have any? And have you came across any? Have you used them? I want to know. I need to know, because this is news to me. Seriously, I've never heard of this. Never. Completely news to me. But that's all I have for you guys for today. And don't forget to check back in if you want to see more art related content, or just any of my other videos that I do or done. I do different types of reactions to multiple things, so there's always something for somebody to definitely enjoy. Even if you're not an art freak, an art head like myself, no worries, I got you covered. There's always something for everybody on my channel. Alright guys, until next time, I'm gonna check you guys on the next one, and yeah, peace out.